Okay. It is just 6:30, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. And if everyone would rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Liscars, I believe you're next.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. First of all, it was a very nice presentation, good wrap-up. I think you captured everything. I was sitting there, as you know, as just a public attendee of the meeting. I was a little shocked, to be honest with you, as I think some of the board members were, that some of the numbers that Manchester was coming up with, considering we already had a court-mediated settlement where we basically came out of there clean. We paid them a bunch of money. So a couple of things I wanted to address. I do agree with the no guaranteed minimums. I think we should mention, though, something that the board has decided, and that is that we will guarantee a payment for a full year. In other words, if by December 1st or whatever we agree with these receiving districts, we give them a number, we're going to hold true to that number for the year, except for extenuating circumstances, like if a child moves out of the district. But if all of a sudden, you know, Johnny's having a hard time, just doesn't like the school, and ups and leaves, we are still going to pay to Manchester that amount of money, or to any of these schools. So that's Hooksit's commitment that we have agreed to as a board. So I think that's a good negotiation point to say that we stand behind our numbers when we give them to you in December. The 5 year is good. I really, to be honest with you, with the choice model, whether it's 5 or 10 years, I really think it's almost like a gentleman or a gentlewoman's agreement that we're going to be partners here, and we can see out about 5 to 10 years. It doesn't really matter because we're not fully committing the revenue. We're not committing the numbers. And, you know, it is a different model, but these receiving districts should really welcome it, because it's a chance for them to stand up and show the world what they have for opportunities for the surrounding towns. So if they're competitive, they are going to draw the children and the parents to those schools.
Right.
If they need help, well, I'm hoping that the competition from the other schools will drive that help that they need, because it's good for all the kids. You know, and I think I've said it.
I thought you said 3.
I just said no. I just said I agreed with your no guaranteed minimums.
3.
Yeah, that was the first one, but that was just guaranteed payment for a year, and then 5 or even up to 10. I think with the Pinkerton or Manchester. I would just hope, from my perspective, whatever with regards to Manchester and Pinkerton, whatever we settle with one, I would hope we do a mirror with the other. That way, we're not treating anybody any differently. We're basically allowing fair competition. Maybe Pinkerton has a little bit of an edge because they don't have to adhere to some of the rules that a public school does. But that's just the way it is, and they may have some more resources and so forth. But that's just the way it is in the real world. So I like the wrap up though, I think they need to start looking at it. When I say they, the receiving districts, they need to start looking at this as an opportunity, a golden opportunity.
Right.
Last year, if we could just take a breath and remember that Dr. Littlefield brought to Hooksit the concept of the MOU. Okay? We'd never heard about that term before. And he brought that to a meeting one night and say, hey, how about this? And combined with that, and now these, whatever you want to call them, we've called them different things, but anchor schools, it's really a great model. We're providing that fair and equal education with those anchors, if you will. We're providing opportunity, and all of that is great competition, which benefits all the kids. So,
thank you. But then the question becomes whether or not we want to include what Mr. Liscars is proposing to be put into our counter proposal for Manchester, and I think we should get that off the table, one way or the other. So if you want to make a motion, and then we'll...
Sure, I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion that the Hooksett School District will stand behind financially the number that it presents on the receiving school's date.
December 1st is the...
December, I was going to try to put a term instead of an actual date in case we have a different date. I'll call it a committal date, commitment date. It's the date where we are committing numbers to the receiving school district, and the proposal is, with the exception of student moving out of district, that we will commit financially to the number we present on the date of committal to the receiving district. If I get a second, I'll speak to it.
I'll second that.
It's just a matter of trust. That's all it is. It's a partnership. These are schools our parents and their kids want to go to, and I put myself on their end. If we tell them a number, but we can't put the money behind that number, what good is the number? In theory, I don't think it's going to be a big deal. If you have any kids, I think it's going to be a handful. And I just think that the good faith of putting a dollar behind that number is much more important than nickel and diming our partners in education for these Hooksett kids. We want to build good relationships with our partners. I think by them throwing out a big olive branch to us by just saying, okay, we don't need fully committed numbers for 10 years. We're going to allow you to say 0 up front and give us a number December 1st. I think that's a big leap for these school districts because of the history of how contracts have been done in the past. So I think we have to come to the table with something for them, some security that the numbers we give them on December 1st we stand behind. Thank you.
We're ready to call for a vote on the motion. If you would read the motion, please.
Motion that the Hooksett School District will stand behind financially the number it presents on the receiving school's committal date, with the exception of students moving out of the district.
Okay. Who's going first?
We have a roll call, please.
Jim Sullivan,
No, I think the policy covers it.
Mike Berry,
No.
John Liscaz,
Yes.
David Pearl,
No.
Tom Bassat,
No.
Annie Bullard,
No.
That's what I hate about negotiation in public.
No, because I think it's already in the policy. The policy covers that. Go ahead.
Madam Chair, will you entertain a motion? I'd like to make a motion that with the Manchester, specifically negotiations, that long-term negotiations cease until the short-term negotiation is completed. If I get a second, I'll speak to that.
Okay. As earlier in the meeting, we had some discussion about the fact that the folks at Pinkerton were going to be meeting at a certain point on the 20th, and that the superintendent would have that information. I guess my suggestion would be to possibly change that meeting to the following week, if that's possible. 20, what's the...
The following Tuesday would be the 26th.
Madam Chair, what would be the reason for doing that?
In case there needs to be something ratified, right? They come back with something we need to re-ratify.
Right.
I mean, because, but I think I understood in that meeting the other night with Manchester, did we recommend that they come back with that in September?
Yes, but we're talking about the Pinkerton one.
Right, but to Mr. Lazat's point, I mean, is that something that might need to be ratified? Should we wait and get both things at the same time, have a meeting?
Well, the only reason why I'm suggesting this is, I think I've heard and the board, I'm sure, has heard as well, that the superintendent has impressed upon the board to get through those things, and we're talking about those short-term goals as soon as we can, because then we can devote our time to the contracts or whatever. And to me, that is one item that, you know, hopefully we're going to get an answer to, and we can put that one to, you know, to bed. That one has been going back and forth and back and forth. We need to get the answer to that.